Hey everyone, and welcome back to Mr. Smith's YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be continuing to talk about VCarve Desktop. So we have now started, moving into the software that does the CNC programming based off our designs, called GNM code for our big Laguna Swift CNC and also our digital wood carver tabletop CNC. All right, so in the last video, we just went through kind of some image work, loading images onto cornhole boards. But in this video, we're going to be doing a little bit more with images, but I'm going to show you how to kind of edit them on the node level. All right, so let's get started. So everybody quickly pull up VCarve Desktop. Once you've got it pulled up, then you're going to go to the top left here and click Create New File. Alright, once you've got your file created, want to do 25. Alright, so job type, single-sided. Job size, 25 by 25, so width is 25, height is 25. And our thickness is also going to be 0.5 because we got a 1/2-inch piece of plywood on the machine. Alright, Z0 is material surface. XY datum, bottom left, because that's where we zero out our machine. And then you can just click OK. Alright, OK. Alright, so now we're in our work area here. So we're going to be kind of with the theme of February. So we're going to be working on a Valentine's Day design. Just to kind of get us in the mood, and if any of y'all have a significant other during the holiday, this is something that you could cut out for them and actually give them. Alright, so we are going to be using this image here. This image will be on It's Learning, so you're going to have to download it, but this is the image that we are going to work off of. So make sure right now, go to It's Learning, go to the image, right click, save it to your downloads or desktop or documents. Alright, and then I want you to pull it in. Alright, so I'm dragging mine in and dropping it. Alright, or if that didn't work out for you, you can always go to File, Import, and import bitmap, and then it should be there wherever you have saved it. Alright, so just make sure you have this image because that's what we're going to work with. Okay, so moving on. Alright, I'm going to click on the image, and then over here we have what's called the Transform Objects section. So if you hover your cursor over, we can move. The second one is Set Selected Object Size, so that's kind of like our scale tool. We have Rotate, we have Mirror, we have Distort, and we have Align. Alright, so I'm going to use the second one, which is called Set Selected Object Size. Alright, and then that just allows me to actually grab it and make it bigger. So I'm going to make it, here, let me see. So you can actually grab and make it bigger, or you can type in a percentage. So I'm going to type in 180. So I'm going to make it 180% bigger. Alright, so I typed in 180 right there. Alright, then I'm going to click Close. So now that my image is bigger, I want to actually do the image trace. And this is something that we did in the last video with the cornhole boards. So we go over here to the Trace Bitmap, the picture of the little birdie bird, and we click on that. Alright, so last time we did black and white. The issue now is this time our image is red, so we can't do black and white. So we have to go up here and click Color, and what it does now is it shows us all the different colors that are in the image, which are all shades of red. So I can actually go in here and highlight all the ones that are red. Alright, so what this allows you to do is if you have an image that is multiple colors, you can select specific colors to actually trace. Alright, so as long as I've traced, if I've checked only the shades of red, we're going to be good. The background is white, so if I check that, you'll see that it kind of makes our image disappear because it's trying to trace that white color. Alright, so I'm going to uncheck the white, and I'm going to click preview down here. Alright, and it looks like it did a good trace, so I'm going to click apply. And then close. Alright, so now if you zoom in, you'll see that we have our original image, plus it's traced all the edges or the outlines of the image based off the colors. So now we have a vector. Alright, if you go up here to the top where it says layer 1, you will see that we now have 2 layers. So the trace bitmap tool, or the bitmap trace tool, creates layers for us. If we go in here and click the little light bulb on bitmap layer, it will hide it. Alright, so that way we didn't delete it. In the last video, we just deleted it. This video, we're hiding that, just hiding the image. Alright, so if you want to create layers because you're using multiple images, this is your layers, and I will cover that in another video later. Alright, so I'm going to turn that off. Okay, so this is our outline for our Valentine's Day, you know. What I want to do first is I want to center it. Alright, so if you remember over here in Transform Objects, we had a tool called Align Selected Objects. Align Selected Objects. So I want you to click that, and it gives us all these different tools. So we can align up and down, we can align left and right, or we can align to the middle. So I'm going to move it, alright? Just y'all don't have to do this, but just kind of watch me. I'm going to move it way off center. If I go back to that align and I select my vector, if I click center of material, it puts it in the middle for us. Alright. You can also align to different vectors. So if we had 2 vectors here, we could align them to each other. But again, I'm going to show you that in another video. Alright, so now that our vector is in the middle of our screen, we want to do a little bit of editing here. So I'm looking, you know, I really like kind of the flow of this. You know, when I look at this, I like to imagine how the drill bit's going to follow the lines. So, but I kind of want to see what each individual node looks like. All right, so this vector is actually made up of nodes. So on the keyboard, if I press the letter N as in Nancy or Nigeria or Ninja, all right, to node edit grouped objects, the objects must be ungrouped. Do you want to ungroup the selected objects? Yes. All right, so either you can, I'm hitting Control Z right now. You can either, well, you can either, I'm just showing you this for the purpose, you can right click and ungroup it first, and then when you select it, press N, or it'll do it when you press N as in Ninja, or Nighterino, or Nido Queen. Alright, basically you want it ungrouped, and then you want to press N so that you get every node. Alright, so these are all our different nodes on our image, and this is how we can kind of tweak things. So let's look at this ponytail up here. Alright, so, well, first off, let me tell you about the different types of nodes. Look at the colors here. You have black, blue, and green. Alright, let's talk about the green one first. Green is our starting node. So this is where this vector starts. It starts right here. You can see the little arrow next to it that lets you know the direction of your node. Alright, so my vector starts here and moves in this direction. The black ones indicate nodes that are connected by straight lines. So from here to here, those are just straight lines. That's a straight line, 2 nodes with a straight line between it. The blue has handles that actually, let me find a better example of it. Here. So I'm up in the ponytail now. The blue ones have control handles because they're curves. So I can actually move. Alright, so maybe my lady has a little bit of a dip in her head, right? I can take that control handle and move the curve, so now, and then I can take it and move it back. Alright, still I'm kind of not doing very good here. Let me move it a little more center. Alright, there we go, that's not too bad. Alright, so 3 types of nodes. Green is starting, black straight line, blue is your curve. Blue have the control panels to adjust. Alright, so whenever you're doing something, you just want to make sure that everything is looking pretty good. And I think it does. Alright. One thing you can do is if you have a black, let's look right here. We have these 2 black ones. So I'm in this little spot inside the woman. Right? We have these 2 black nodes. If you right click and do smooth point, alright, so basically on these nodes, to get to your different operations, you right click on them. So we could delete the point, so now there's not a node there. We could right click and smooth point, so now it's turned it into a curve, so it's a blue one. Alright, so if you smooth a point, if I come around the room and say you need to smooth your point, then that means you need to right click it and turn it into a blue node. Let's see, what else can we do with it? We can cut the vector. Alright, and that changes it where it's going to start. And, well, it actually cut out the vector between that and the start, so the start moved up here. You can make the start point right there. Alright, so there's a lot of different stuff you can do to tweak your vectors. Honestly, guys, my drill bit right here is probably going to have a little bit of trouble coming up into that spot. So I might want to pull this open a little more just to give my drill bit some more space. So I do suggest you kind of do that on yours. I don't like that this is comes to an angled point, so I could right click and smooth that. Alright, so smooth that edge. Alright, smooth the edge and then kind of pull it out a little bit. Be careful that you're not, when you're moving, make sure you're grabbing the blue dot and not the control point. Alright, so I just made this a little bit thicker here. Alright, so that way my drill bit can get into there. So at this point, looks pretty good. Alright, so we're going to move on. Now what I want you to do is we're going to create what's called an offset. And you guys should be familiar with this from Google SketchUp. When we did 3D modeling, we did offsets. And also Adobe Illustrator, we did offsets. So I'm going to drag click, right click, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag click and highlight everything. Then I'm going to go over here to the left. On the very bottom, we have what's called offset and layout. The very first tool is your offset tool. So I'm going to click on that. I want to offset outwards. And I want to do a distance of, let's see what 0.5 looks like first. Alright, and then click offset. Okay, it looks pretty good. I'm going to hit Control Z. I want to do 0.75. I want it to be a little bit bigger of an offset. Alright, I actually want to, this time, I want to check Create Sharp Offset Corners. And I think that's it. That's the only one we want to check. So I'm going to click Offset. Alright, there we go. There we go. It's looking pretty good, right? So now you will notice that we have a new vector that is the offset of our original vector. Alright, new vector that is the offset of our original vector. The only issue here is that if we are going to cut this, or even engrave it or carve it, we need it to be a little bit different. So actually what we need to do is we need to edit the nodes of this outside heart. So I'm going to click on the outside and press N. Alright, so that way I get to here. Then I'm going to right click and I'm going to cut vector. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to pick one of these nodes, right click and cut vector. So what that has done is it had separated this vector from the entire vector. All right, again, I'll show it one more time. Control Z, Control Z. So we have an entire vector here. I'm going to go down here to this point, right click and cut vector. Then I'm going to go up here to one of these points, right click and cut vector. So that has now created a new vector within our vector. All right, I know I'm saying vector a lot here. So that what that allows me to do is click on this piece and click delete, or I can right click it, and well, I'm just going to click it and click delete, and I get rid of all of that. All right. Again, I'm going to highlight this little piece because I don't really care for it, and I'm going to delete that. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to delete the outside one. We're going to keep the inside one. All right, then we're going to do the same thing over here. So I'm thinking about right here. I'm going to right click and delete on this point. Oh, sorry. I'm going to right click and cut vector on this point. And then I'm going to go up here to the top. I'm going to find a good point, and I'm going to right click and cut vector. So now this top piece is its own vector, and I have this little piece as a vector. So I'm going to click delete. All right, so now y'all can probably see what I'm aiming for here, what I'm trying to do. All right, so I'm trying to get it where I just have like this outside border while also having the outlines of the silhouette of the man and the woman. All right, I'm going to go down here now, and I'm going to take this point. All right, mine happens to be green because my start point moved, and I'm going to pull it up to there. I'm going to grab this point and pull it up to here. Okay. So these are still, if I do my clicking, these are separate vectors. Separate vector, separate vector. If I click the bottom one, hold down shift and click the top one, it'll highlight all of it again. I need to make it all one thing again. So what I'm going to do is over here on the left, we have the join tool. All right, so under edit objects, this very bottom thing, it looks like a circle with a bunch of circles, or it looks like a kind of like a NASCAR track with little circles going around it, or it kind of looks like the ring of an atom. All right, if you hover over it, it's called the join tool. If you click on that, it's going to ask us with what tolerance. All right, so tolerance is our area for our gap, so we're going to use a very small number for this. So 0.0004 and click join. All right, now this outside heart is now been joined into one vector. All right, so at this point, I kind of want to go smooth some stuff out again. If I'm looking here, this is kind of really close together. I feel like my heart just kind of goes whoop, all of a sudden just whoop. So I'm going to go in here and click it and press N. And I'm going to actually fit my nodes to my curve. All right, and this is another tool. So I'm going to click on the heart. And over here under the edit objects, all right, so I'm just looking for it. All right, curve fit. So 1, 2, 3 rows down inside of edit objects and 3 over. It's called curve fit. If I click on that, what this does is it fits all our nodes. You'll see over there that all our nodes are highlighted. It fits it and then actually reduces the amount of nodes we have. Oh, sorry guys, I hit a button. It reduces the amount of nodes we have. I like to use, I believe it's pronounced Bezier curves. Those are just my personal. I don't want straight lines because that'll make this look weird. So I'm going to use Bezier curves. And I'm going to use a 0.01 tolerance. So I'm going to click preview. All right, so what you'll notice now is it reduced how many nodes I have, so this kind of flows a little bit better. All right, so I'm going to show that one more time, Control Z. So make sure you have the outside selected. find your curve fit tool, Bezier, tolerance is 0.01, preview, okay, and it reduced our nodes. Alright, it actually created a duplicate also. So if you click it and hit delete, it'll get rid of one. It'll get rid of, actually, it looks like it kept our original underneath. Alright, if you have a duplicate, you need to do it again. So click it. Alright, click it. Delete. Make sure you just have one. So you should see a dotted pink live. Curve fit. Alright, I forgot to check replace selected vectors. Alright, replace selected vectors. Preview, okay. So that way it doesn't create a duplicate. Make sure you don't have two there. Alright, so now when I click on it and press N as in nickel, you will see that I have a reduced amount of points. And I can go in here and kind of pull these out. Alright, I didn't like how well that looked. So I'm actually going to go here and insert a point. So I'm going to press N, right click, insert a point, and then I'm going to right click and smooth that point just so I can kind of pull this out a little bit. I want it to be a little bit more flowy right there. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Right click, insert a point, right click, smooth point, and kind of just pull it out a bit so it's not, if you zoom in, you can kind of, I just want it to have a little bit more shape to it, a little more flow. Alright, so at this point, I think we've got a pretty good design. Alright, so what I want you to do now is we're going to do our toolpaths. So remember, over here on the right, you're going to click Toolpath. Alright, and for this part, I am going to get rid of my webcam so that way you can see everything. So click on Toolpaths. When I'm working, guys, I like to click this little pin right here. If you click that, it'll keep. If you pin it, see, unpin, it disappears. Click that little pin, it stays there. So what I want to start with is just kind of, we definitely want to do a carving. So let's see what it looks like if we highlight both. So I'm going to drag click and highlight the whole thing. And I'm going to go over here to the VCarve, which is underneath profile. Alright guys, remember to hover and read to make sure you have the right one. We're going to use the VCarve. Alright, we're going to, I'm going to show you a little different. Last time I told y'all to do 0 and 0.15. This time I want you to just uncheck flat depth. And what that actually does, let me turn on my camera. What that does is you have that V bit, alright, it does a little math. It calculates how deep can it go based off the size of your V bit. Alright, so we have that V bit going down into the wood and it will do the calculations for you. Alright, so that's what happens if you don't tell it how far down to go. Alright, double check that you have a 60° 1/4 inch. And that's all you really got to do. So I'm going to call this, let's see, inner carving is my goal. Kind of want it to be an inner carving. I'm going to click calculate. And it's dependent on the speed of your computer. It's going to take a minute because it's a big toolpath. Alright. Alright, the current tool cutting depth will exceed the material. Alright, so that's kind of an issue for us. So based off what we want it to do, it's going to cut through the material. So we need to change that. So go back to, remember guys, to edit a toolpath. Let me get rid of my camera. Alright, to edit a toolpath, double click. I need to have the flat depth. Alright, it's over calculating, it's going to cut through. So I'm going to check flat depth and we're going to do 0.15 again. Alright, let me put a 0 in front. 0.15. Now I'm going to calculate again. Alright, see this time it didn't give us an error. No error because we gave it a limit. I'm going to change the toolpath color. I'm going to change it to be red for Valentine's Day. Alright, now I want to hit reset preview, preview all. So it's going to carve that all out and it'll be left red. So, not bad. Looks pretty good, you know. What if we flipped the carving? Alright, what if we actually, instead of carving the silhouette, we carve around the silhouette? So I'm curious what that'll look like. So let's change it up. So double click inner carving. All right, because we're going to change, anytime you're changing your toolpath, you got to double click on it. We're going to go back to the 2D view, and instead of selecting all of it, let's just select the inside. All right, let's just select the inside and click calculate. Okay, so instead of, you can already see, instead of engraving the actual silhouette, it's going to engrave inside the heart. So I'm going to reset preview, preview all. Yeah, I like that a little better, don't y'all? I think that looks pretty clean. I do need to go back and we need to do her little thing here. So I'm going to double click inner carving, go back over to 2D, hold down shift, click that to add it, and click calculate. Alright, so now that'll be added. Reset preview, preview all. By this point, y'all should have that down. Alright. Now maybe we want to go in here and let's cut out the outside. So we're going to need a new toolpath. So I'm going to click close. And I'm clicking the outside heart because I want to cut the heart out. So I'm going to do a profile toolpath. Our material was 0.5, so I'm going to do like 0.55 because you always want to go a little bit deeper. Alright, so start depth was 0.0, cut depth 0.55. I'm using a 1/4 inch end mill. Alright, so end mill 1 divided by 4 inch. I want to do an outside, so I want the drill bit to go on the outside of these lines. If we go on the inside, it's gonna cut into our carving. All right, so make sure it's the outside. And I'm not really worried about tabs on this one because it's gonna cut freely. So I'm gonna call this heart cut, and I'm gonna click calculate. It's gonna tell me that it's gonna go through the material, but that's actually what we want this time. So I'm gonna click OK. So now, if I let's give this a color too. Y'all know me. I think I want to do black. All right. So reset preview, preview all. Reset the preview, preview all. All right. To remove your material, remember you double click. So I'm going to double click on the big piece of wood here. And there we go. So you can kind of look at it. Beautiful, right? All right, I want to add one more thing to mine. All right, I want to add one more thing to mine. I think I want to add, maybe let's add the year, right? So my wife and I were married in 2020. So I'm going to add an established 2020 onto this. So I'm going to go back to my 2D view and I'm going to draw text. And I'm going to say EST 2020. I'm going to pick a nice, beautiful font here. Well, I don't have a lot of choices, do I? Let's see. Don't know about beautiful as being the correct word for some of these, but okay, I can go further up. Looking for something that's very just Valentine's Day. Maybe cunts the script. I kind of like the script. All right, but I need to make this bigger. So again, our scale tool is inside of transform. And I'm going to just kind of make it bigger. You know what? I've decided I don't like that font. So I'm going to double click it. Or actually, I'm going to click on it. And then if you go back to the text tool, you can change it. I just didn't like mine. You might like yours. I was not a fan of the one I picked. I need something a little more blocky. Okay, that's not too bad. I kind of like that one. All right, so again, so another way you can scale is to double click and you can just drag the corner. So I think I'm actually going to put it up here because I got a good bit of room right there. All right, so I've added something new. All right, so I need to decide which one of my toolpaths do I want to add this to. So I want to do it on the carving. So I double click the carving. I go back to the 2D view and I need to add my text. So I hold down Shift and click. And then now I just click calculate because all I'm doing is adding something. So I want to reset preview, preview all. And now I've added a little bit of text. All right. Not bad, right? Looks pretty good. So guys, there's a lot of stuff I could go back in here and do. You know, I could add some more text and say Mrs. Smith and Mr. Smith, and maybe put that, you know, somewhere inside the person. But for now, I really do like kind of what we have here. Just a nice little Valentine's Day thing. I do encourage you to have some fun with this. If you want to add a poem, if there's something special you want to do, guys, push the limits with your skills and see what you can come up with. All right. So for now, I'm planning on this to be our assignment for the week, but we may do one more thing come Wednesday and Thursday. But in order to receive credit, I need you to submit the screenshot of the 3D view. All right, so something like this, and a screenshot of your 2D view. I would appreciate it if you had your toolpath over here on the right, include that in your screenshot, just so I can double check that you've got two screenshots that have been done correctly. All right, or two toolpaths. All right, other than that, guys, have a great week. I will be back with more videos soon. Thanks.